For the last 3 days you have felt something you cannot name. It wasn't a specific thought. It was a background restlessness, a kind of silent hum that remained switched on while you worked, while you drove, while you tried to sleep, and your tired body couldn't turn off your mind. You woke up at least once in the middle of the night for no apparent reason. You had a thought about a person, an old decision, or a path you didn't take, and that thought kept coming back, as if knocking on a door you insist on not opening. And today, without knowing exactly why, you opened this video. This is not chance. It is not the algorithm. It is proof that something inside you already knows what I am about to say. Today, July 17th, there is a window. A real energetic opening, felt by millions of people at this exact moment, and you have 7 concrete actions to cross through it before it closes. Stay until the end, because the 7th action completely changes the meaning of the other 6. Let's get straight to the point, because romanticizing this would be wasting the time you do not have. A portal, in the language we are using here, is not an astronomical phenomenon, nor a magic door suspended in the sky waiting to be crossed by those who are lucky. A portal is a window of coherence, a moment in which the collective energy field, the set of thoughts, emotions, and intentions that humanity constantly projects, enters a kind of more open, more malleable resonance. Dates like July 17th carry a numerical and cyclical symbology that spiritual traditions from numerology to Eastern contemplative practices recognize as points of greater permeability between what you think and what you manifest. This does not mean the universe will descend upon you and fix your life while you sleep. It means the opposite. It means that, in this type of window, the distance between intention and action shrinks. What you decide today weighs more than what you would decide on any random Tuesday in March. That is why this day invites introspection. Not because it is supernatural, but because it is an amplified mirror. It takes everything you have been avoiding looking at head-on, the career that no longer represents you, the relationship that has turned into a soulless routine, the body you abandoned, the inner voice you silenced to fit into the expectations of others, and places it all in front of you, at a volume higher than normal. The question this portal asks, silently, is simple and uncomfortable. If today were the first day of the rest of your life, would you continue living exactly as you are living? If your answer hesitated for a second before coming, you already know why you are here. Now the part almost no one explains correctly. How to tell if the universe is in fact trying to wake you up, or if you are just being dramatic about a bad phase in life. The difference is in the patterns, not in isolated events. Pay attention. Have you been noticing synchronicities, repeating numbers, a specific song playing in 3 different places on the same day, a person you thought of out of nowhere who appeared, literally, minutes later? Has your intuition been louder, more insistent, as if an instinct you had ignored for years were turning up the volume because stopping listening to it is no longer an option? Have things that supported your routine begun to crumble without warning? A job, a friendship, a project? And as much as it hurts, is there a strange relief beneath the pain, as if something were being cleared away to make room for something else? And perhaps the clearest sign of all, do you feel like you are about to start something important, but you still don't know what? And this feeling of expectation is as physical as it is emotional, as if the body already knew before the mind. If you recognized at least 3 of these signs in the last few days, you are not among those who will just feel this energy pass, because here is the real divide that separates those who cross this portal from those who let it pass them by. The absolute majority of people will feel exactly what you are feeling right now. The restlessness, the recurring thoughts, the feeling of being on a threshold, and will do what they have always done with it. They will blame the fatigue, they will blame the traffic, the boss, the bill that came due, a bad night's sleep. They will swallow the message with coffee and distraction. Go to bed early. Wake up tomorrow in the exact same gear, and the window will close silently over their heads, without them realizing that something has closed. This majority is neither weak nor less deserving. They simply never built the internal structure necessary to interpret the signal as an invitation and not as noise. You, who are here until this point in the video, have already demonstrated that you belong to another group. You are part of the minority that has, or is about to develop, the internal infrastructure to use this window with awareness and not let it slip away like sand through your fingers. And it is precisely about building this infrastructure in a practical and guided way that I need to talk to you about now, because the rest of this video only works if this foundation is laid. That is why I prepared Magia em 28 Exercícios, as 28 Chaves do Despertar for you. It is a 28-day journey, the exact time of a full lunar cycle, designed for people who feel lost, different, or simply overwhelmed by a sensitivity that the world around them never taught them how to decode. It is not loose theory or decorative mysticism. It is a structured path to recognize the signs of one's own soul, to integrate the parts of you that were pushed into the shadows out of fear or shame, and to return to living from your inner truth, not the edited version you created to please others. The promise is direct, to transform your restlessness into a language you understand, to transform shadow into clarity, to transform scattered signs into real decisions, and to transform awareness into practical direction. Every day for 28 days within exactly the type of energetic window we are moving through now. The first pinned comment on this video takes you straight to it. If you feel that this is your moment to stop just feeling the call and start responding to it, comment pronto now before continuing to watch, because this simple gesture is already the first step out of inertia. Returning to what matters now, the 7 actions. The first 3 work together and none of them require you to change your life overnight. They require you to make space. Because here is a law that governs any real transformation, spiritual or not. Nothing new enters a container that is already filled to the brim. The first action is to release. This means, in practice, identifying what in you has already died, but continues to be carried out of habit or fear of the emptiness that its absence would leave. It could be a belief about who you are. I am like this, I won't change. It could be a relationship that has become an obligation disguised as loyalty. It could be an old version of yourself that was once useful, but today only takes up space and drains energy every time you try to be authentic, and that old version pulls you back into the familiar role. Releasing is not a dramatic event of breaking everything at once. It is a conscious process of asking every day, does this still serve me or am I just afraid to let go? And having the courage to answer honestly, even when the answer is uncomfortable. The second action is to observe. Most modern human suffering does not come from reality itself. It comes from the constant mental noise that prevents any clarity about reality. Think of your brain as a lake. When the surface is agitated by constant winds, notifications, comparisons, anxiety about the future, guilt about the past, it is impossible to see the bottom, no matter how clear the water is underneath. To observe means to reduce, deliberately, this agitation. Minutes of real silence, no screens, no stimulation, just breathing and presence. It's not about emptying the mind completely. That's a myth that frustrates beginners and makes them quit. It's about creating enough pauses so that thoughts stop overlapping one another, and you can finally distinguish which thought is yours, authentic, and which is just an echo of conditioned fear. The third action is born directly from the first 2, listening. Once you release what weighs you down and calm the surface of the mind, a voice that was always there, but muffled by the noise, begins to become audible again. Call it intuition, call it instinct, call it the soul. The name matters less than recognizing its main characteristic. It is calm, it is consistent, and it never screams. Fear screams, anxiety screams. Intuition whispers the same truth repeatedly, with patience, waiting for you to finally stop enough noise to hear it. These 3 actions, releasing, observing, listening, are not separate steps that you do once and cross off a list. They are the soil, and no deep decision grows in compacted soil. It was precisely to work this internal soil, day after day, with practical and progressive exercises, that Magia em 28 Exercícios was designed, and the first pinned comment is still there, waiting for you, in case you haven't taken that step yet. The mission of this channel is to accompany you in this reconstruction, and every video published here is a coordinate within this larger map. Ignoring this foundation now is to postpone the moment when clarity finally arrives. With the soil prepared, we reach the real turning point of this narrative. The fourth action, the decision that opens a new timeline of life. Here is a truth that few have the courage to say without softening. Deep transformation never comes from more information, more reflection, or more waiting time. It comes from a decision, a single choice taken at a specific moment that is coherent with who you truly are, even if that choice creates a terrain of absolute uncertainty beneath your feet. Think of it this way. A portal is not an astronomical event. It is the turning point where the cost of remaining stuck in your current life becomes greater than the terror of taking the next step. You take the step, and then the ground appears. Never before. Most people wait for the ground to appear first so that they can then take the step, and that is exactly why most people never move from where they are. The decision that opens a new timeline of life does not need to be gigantic in the eyes of others. It can be ending a conversation that no longer represents you, refusing an opportunity that seemed good on paper, but wrong in your body, saying aloud a truth that you had been keeping for fear of someone's reaction. The external size of the decision matters less than its internal coherence. A small decision, but absolutely aligned with your deepest values, has more power to reorganize your reality than a big decision made out of impulse or external pressure. If you feel that you already know what this decision is for you, and that you are only postponing it out of fear, comment EUSEI qual A in the comments section now. Naming the decision aloud, even if only to yourself through a screen, is already the first movement toward taking it out of the realm of fantasy and bringing it into the realm of the real. After the decision is taken, or at least named, recognized, faced head-on, the work does not end. It enters a phase of sustainment, because a decision without sustainment becomes an intention forgotten in a few weeks, and this leads us to the fifth and sixth actions, which walk side by side, raising your frequency through gratitude and coherence. Let's deconstruct this, because raising your frequency has become such a repeated phrase that it has lost its practical meaning for many people. Frequency here is simply the dominant emotional pattern that you emit for most of your day. If the dominant pattern is scarcity, comparison, and anxiety, it is this pattern that will continue to attract situations and people that confirm scarcity, comparison, and anxiety, not through magic, but because your daily choices, filtered through this emotional state, tend to reinforce the state itself. Gratitude acts as a practical switch for this pattern, not because it is a pretty positive thought, but because it is physiologically incompatible with the survival mode of fear. You cannot at the same time feel genuine gratitude for something specific and be in a panic about the future. These are states that compete for the same neurological space, and every time you deliberately choose gratitude, even for something small, you are training your nervous system to exit the state of constant alert. Coherence is the indispensable complement to gratitude. It is the distance between what you think, what you feel, and what you do. When these three layers are aligned, there is an unmistakable sense of lightness and purpose, even on difficult days. When they are misaligned, you think one thing, feel another, and act in a way completely different from both. Energy is dispersed in internal friction, and it is this friction that most people vaguely describe as being tired for no reason, or feeling like you are rowing against the tide all the time. Real spiritual growth is not sustained by isolated moments of inspiration, by that emotional peak after watching a motivational video that lasts for 3 days and then disappears. It is sustained by daily habits, small and repeated, a moment of conscious gratitude in the morning, a pause to verify if the action you are about to take is consistent with what you claim to value, a choice every day to act from the most aligned version of yourself, rather than the reactive and tired version. And it is exactly here, in the moment when the journey demands daily sustenance and not just a moment of fleeting inspiration, that most people lose their way because no one taught them how to turn clarity into habit. That is why I prepared Magia em 28 exercícios, as 28 chaves do despertar, 28 days, one practical exercise per day, specifically designed to transform insight into routine and routine into a new identity. You don't need to rely solely on willpower, which is known to fail after a few days without structure. You follow a guided path, day after day, for a full lunar cycle, until the coherence between thinking, feeling, and acting ceases to be an effort and becomes second nature. The pinned comment remains at the top, and this is the last time I need to remind you of it before we close this broadcast. If you have reached this point, feeling that this video was, in some way, speaking directly to your situation, this is no coincidence and the responsibility is now yours. Comment Chavez do despertar and take the first real step before the window closes. We arrive then at the seventh and final action, the one that retroactively changes the meaning of everything said up to this point. Because the truth is this: the portal was never the date. It was never July 17th. It was never an astral alignment. It was never an event outside of you waiting to save you from a life you built yourself on autopilot. The true portal is, and has always been, the decision to walk through every day from a renewed identity. Someone who releases what no longer serves, who observes before reacting, who listens to their own intuition instead of stifling it, who makes coherent decisions even under uncertainty, who sustains gratitude and alignment as a habit, not as an exception. Crossing the portal, in this sense, is not a unique event that happens today and ends tomorrow. It is assuming from now on total responsibility for your own choices, knowing that each one of them builds or destroys the timeline that you are, at this very instant, deciding to live. No one will cross this threshold for you. No date on the calendar will do this. I work while you sleep. The only thing that separates those who leave this video exactly as they entered from those who leave transformed is the willingness to act from this moment on, with the identity of someone who has already decided to change, rather than someone still waiting for permission to begin. If at any point during this broadcast you felt that it did not reach you by chance, there is a simple way to declare it. Write in the comments the action, among the 7 we have just gone through, that weighs most on you right now. Release, observe, listen, decide, thank, align, or cross. This gesture is not merely symbolic. It is a record of the exact point where you are beginning to pass through this window, and it is worth coming back to read your own comment a few weeks from now to see how much you have already changed. And if you are not subscribed to this channel, understand one important thing. Every video published here is not an isolated piece. It is a coordinate within a larger map built throughout the year of the energetic windows that have already passed and those yet to come. Without subscribing, you only receive loose fragments of this map, without context, without sequence, without the continuity that allows you to truly understand where you are within your own journey. Subscribe now, turn on the notification bell, and do not miss the sequence of what comes next. What you heard today was the preparation. The final revelation of what this window truly means for your new life is in the video that is appearing on your screen right now. Click on it. The first 60 seconds will change the way you understand everything we have just discussed here.